So, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the webinar Landscaping, Capacity Building, and Knowledge Sharing Opportunities. This webinar is organized jointly by ICRC, Energypedia, and UNITA, and is a contribution to the Global Plan of Action. My name is Ranisha Basnith, and today I'll be your moderator for this webinar, and I'm joined in by my colleague Lisa Feldman, who will be assisting me with the technical details. As you know, this webinar is part of an ongoing webinar series, and we started the Humanitarian Energy webinar series in 2019 with an aim to share the best practices, document the different projects approaches to integrating energy within the programs in humanitarian spaces. And since then, we have organized 10th webinar, and this is actually our 11th webinar. And as you can see on the screen, we have touched upon different topics within the humanitarian energy spaces, ranging from clean cooking, lighting, to powering health facilities. In case you haven't had a look at them, I do invite you to look at the webinar recordings and the presentation and the associated learning materials. We are organizing this webinar series to take a stock of what kind of learning opportunities are there, what kind of collaboration opportunities are there for energy access practitioners as well as humanitarian practitioners. Therefore, today's webinar is very special because we want to brainstorm with you, the audience, on how we can shape the next round of the webinars. So the second part of the webinar will be our interactive polling, where we will take your feedback and we will incorporate that feedback in shaping the second season of our humanitarian energy webinar. So moving forward, let's kickstart the webinar by knowing a little bit about you, the audience. So I'm going to quickly drop a poll question on your screen. So please tell us, where are you logging in today from, which country of operation. So your country of operation means where are you based in currently. So Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, and so on. So I'm going to leave it for another few seconds because I can see the votes are coming in. And now I'm going to close and display the results. So we have a lot of our audience coming today from Africa, Europe, followed by Asia and North America. So welcome to all of you one more time. And now I'm going to launch a second poll. So if you could tell us, in which sector do you work? Do you work in energy sector, humanitarian organization, private sector, research institute? And this is again to know you, the audience, so that we can shape our webinar according to your need and interest. So I'm going to leave it for another 10 seconds as the votes come in. And now I'm going to close and display the results shortly. So today we have a lot of our audience who are working the humanitarian spaces, followed by research institute and energy organizations. So now I'm going to drop a third poll question on your screen. So please tell us if this is the first time you're attending the Humanitarian Energy webinar, or have you also attended other webinars within the series? As I talked in my previous slides, that we have been doing a lot of webinars in the series, and this is actually our 11th. So please do let us know if you have also attended the other ones. So this, again, I'm going to leave it for a few more seconds. And now I'm going to close and display the results. So we have a lot of our audience who have attended to the other webinars, and for those ones who have not attended our other webinars, we will share with you the webinar recording and links from today, and there you can also access the links to the past webinars. So I'm going to pull up my presentation on my slide. So now let's quickly have a quick look at today's agenda. Today, the webinar is divided into two parts. In the first part, we have 3 presentations. We will kickstart with a presentation from IOM UN Migration, followed by a presentation from a joint presentation from ICRC and Strathmore University, and then a short presentation from Global Plan of Action. And then in the second part of the webinar, we'll have an interactive session where we will brainstorm with you, the audience, on how we can shape our next round of the webinars. And a few house rules before we kickstart with the presentations. On your screen on the right side, you should see a question button. In case you don't see that, try clicking on the orange icon and this question bar will appear. So there you can type in all your questions related to any technical difficulties you are having or any other questions, and my colleague will respond to it as soon as possible. In case you are using tablets, then you will find on the top right, there is a question icon, and just click on that and a drop down with a space to type in your questions will appear. And also look out for this section because this is where we will drop the link to the interactive polling in the second part of our webinar. So let's kickstart the webinar by inviting our first presenter, Alberto Lerio from IOM UN Migration. Alberto is a wash and energy manager with over 15 years experience in the relief sector. So Alberto, I'm going to quickly pull up your presentation so that you can begin with your presentation. Alberto,
Okay.
please unmute yourself. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, hi. Hello, thank you, Ranisa, and thank you to the GPA and ICRC, the organizers of this webinar, for the opportunity to participate. I'm Alberto Ibañez Dario, working from IOM, as Ranisa said, and I'm managing a program called the Global Solar and Water Initiative. And I'm going to quickly or briefly introduce the trainings that we have put in place within this program and a few other things. Next slide. So maybe to start, or before I start talking about the trainings, I wanted to introduce a little bit this project, this Global Solar and Water Initiative that has been going on since 2016. And this project came in the realization that especially WASH organizations back then haven't incorporated modern clean energy solutions at a wide scale in their operations in the different countries and regions where WASH programs were being developed. Yeah, and so we in the first brainstorms that we have with different partners and donors, we thought that it would be good. It could be a good idea to develop a project thought to support organizations that wanted to learn more about how to incorporate clean energy in WASH programs. So working a little bit in the link of clean energy and WASH was the first approach for this project, and it was believed at the time that the introduction of clean energy in WASH project will open the door to further electrification in those communities and camps, especially located in off-grid areas. And so we adopt an approach. We heard a lot of propositions on what kind of technologies and where to focus this kind of project in the assessment phase of back in 2016, but we adopt an approach to narrow the focus of this project in order to be able to go deeper in the subjects. And two facts became evident very quickly. One, that solar photovoltaic solutions offer the widest opportunities by far in terms of applicability and scalability, with all the other possible technologies very far back in the list. And so that was like a technology to focus if we want to mainstream clean energy at large scale in WASH projects. And the second thing is that solar water pumping was a transformative technology that offered the quickest returns or savings in terms of finance compared to other applications in this kind of programs. And there were, of course, other issues, social, environmental, etc., but financial advantages versus existing and potential new technologies were critical to mobilize the resources needed to support this change of mindset when looking at energy in WASH programs. Yeah. Next slide. So that's a bit why we started focusing specifically in solar water pumping. From 2016 to now, we have seen a huge change in terms of the scale at which solar water pumping projects that can be counted by the thousands, implemented by NGOs and UN agencies, have been expanded in many countries at different speeds in different regions. But that's the change we have been seeing, and we have been trying to support since 2016. And very quickly, what we realized is that there was a knowledge gap among field practitioners. So people were feeling a little bit insecure to go into applying solar PV solutions in the water supply projects, and also there was a lack of training opportunities. Yeah, because you could learn about these technologies in a master degree program, in a multi-year degree at a university, but what it was lacking, it was a training for people that were already working in the field and that needed that quick learning while managing their programs. And so that's how we develop our training package tailored for WOS teams, that with 4 main points. One, it has to be brief enough for participants to take it as they keep working in their programs. It has to be adapted to the realities of the relief sector. It has to take advantage of the best existing design softwares that were out there in the market, and it has to be designed for people with water background, but not necessarily energy background. Yeah, so the participants will not need to know about solar energy or have any experience on this, because there were already a lot of people working with water background in the field, but there were very few working with the energy background. So that's why we developed the training package, thinking about it in this way. Yeah. So in the timeline there in the slide, you can see a little bit the journey we had in terms of training, how we had been trying to update in different years, and that's what I'm going to introduce a little bit now. So next slide. So this is the first training option that is out there on our side, at least. This year we are mandated to carry out a solar water pumping training in these 6 countries: Vanuatu, Yemen, Nepal, Afghanistan or Pakistan, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique. So we are trying to link with partners and with the WOS cluster water coordination group in these countries to discuss the modalities and the possibilities and agree on dates. So if you are working in some of these countries, you can either contact us or contact your coordination group to learn what is coming. And this is a training that lasts 3 to 4 days, depending on the needs of each country, and have basically 5 main blocks: introduction to energy, components and quality, technical design, installation, and economic analysis and operational maintenance. And as I said, it's intended for WOS people, but not necessarily with an energy background. Next slide. So the second option that we put out there is well, we are as well this year mandated to conduct a similar training in up to 3 countries facing humanitarian crisis. And I'm showing there a web page that we recently put together with UNICEF, Oxfam, Water Missions, and IOM, in where we have all our resources there, and then there is a page dedicated for training. So if you are working in a country where you think this kind of subject and training will be beneficial for for the actors in the field, you can contact us through the web page, and then we can see how we organize that. There are some details there that you can find in the web page, and we can see how to carry out these trainings for additional 3 countries. So that's a second option for training. Next slide. Okay, the third option, and is a little bit in parallel to this on-site training that we have been carrying out since 2016, are as, let's say, similar on-site trainings that are carried out by academic partners. So we wanted to make sure that these trainings could be carried out regularly every year beyond the duration of the Global Solar and Water Initiative, and that's why we came into contact with two universities that have already a strong experience running short courses, especially in the energy field and less in the water field, and that we supported to incorporate this training into their curriculum. I'm not going to talk a lot about them because, especially for the Strathmore University, I think Professor Da Silva is coming after me, but that opportunity exists at the Strathmore Energy Research Center in Kenya, where they are running 2 to 3 times per year since 2018, a 5-day course on solar water pumping. Yeah, and a similar opportunity that exists with the University of Neuchâtel in Switzerland, where solar water pumping training is part of a larger hydrogeological training that lasts for 6 days, and that normally happens between August and September every year. I say normally because with this COVID-19 pandemic times, you will need to contact directly these universities to know what they are planning to do for this year. But you can find the details and the content of the program and the contacts at the university, again, in the Solar Hub webpage. So that's another option for you or your teams to get trained in solar water pumping technologies. And the next slide. And then there is a fourth and last option that we put in place there, which is an online course that we work on with the Polytechnic University of Valencia. They had a strong online portal already with a number of energy or solar energy related courses, and so we work together to put another training available online. You have there the details. These ones, as the ones that I mentioned before in Switzerland and Kenya, they are for paid courses, so you need to pay a fee to be part of the course, because of course the idea is that they are self-sustaining without the need of having any external donor supporting these trainings. So these online courses have a number of videos and exercise. There is a technical forum where you can put questions. There are webinars, and there are two things that I really like. One is that it's an asynchronous course, so you can start any time of the year. It's open all the year round. It takes approximately 3 months of some dedication per week to finish the whole course. And the other good thing is that the university is in contact with private sector leaders, so you always have some people from some manufacturing company or from some experienced contractors that participate in different events in the online course. Yeah, there are from since 2018 there has been like around 150 people that have taken the course already, and this is again entirely run by the university. So you want to know the details, you can go through the Solar Hub page the Solar Hub webpage, or you can go directly to the Polytechnic University of Valencia. You see there in the screen that they have other courses, energy related. So they have two in English. The introduction to PV power systems and the solar power water systems. And they have others that are so far in Spanish. So you can go a little bit beyond solar pumping if you are interested also in other aspects of solar energy. And next slide. Okay, this is the
Alberto, you only have 1 minute left, so if you could wrap it in that 1.5 minutes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. This is the last slide. So this is a course. The information is still not uploaded in the Solar Hub page, but this is a course that Water Missions together with UNICEF is gonna put out there. They are going to run a first basic edition in April or May, and then they will run a more advanced edition around Q3 of this year. Yeah, so you have more information in the Global Water Center of Water Missions there, and you are welcome to contact them. And next slide, which is just to say goodbye. Okay, so that's a little bit all. So have a look to the webpage where you have all the information about all these trainings, and contact us if you want us to get involved in organizing a training for any of the countries that I mentioned before, or you can just drop me an email if you want to discuss more, more details or other issues related to solar and WASH in your operation. So that's all. Thank you very much. And over to you, Ranisa.
Thank you so much, Alberto. And like he mentioned, you can use the link to contact him, and we'll also share the presentation so that you can have access to the email address as well as the web address. Now I'd like to switch back to my presentation, and it's time for another round of polls. So I'm going to drop another question on your screen. So you should have a question on your screen. So if you could tell me the different training opportunities that were presented today at the Solar Hub, if they respond to your needs, maybe yes, no, partly. So I'm going to leave it for another 10 more seconds. And now I'm going to close the poll and display the results. So most of our audience said partly. Thank you so much. And I'm going to drop another question on the poll. So if you could also tell us what kind of training specifically you are looking for. Is it more foundational courses for giving you basic introduction, or are you looking for more specialized training on either solar water pumping or solar energy applications, or if it's none of the above? So I'm going to leave it for another 10 more seconds. And now I'm going to close the poll and display the results. So our audience is currently looking for specialized training in other solar energy applications, followed by specialized training in solar water pumping. So thank you so much for taking part in the poll. And I will now switch back to my screen. And I would like to invite our next presenter for today. That is Marco Albertini from ICRC. Marco has 15 years of international experience in team coordination and project management. And today he's joined by his colleague, Professor Isabel Pereira da Silva from Strathmore University. Professor da Silva is a renewable energy specialist with over 20 years of experience in research and academic leadership. And today together, Marco and Professor da Silva are going to talk about the Energy Hub in Nairobi. So Marco, the floor is yours. I have put up your presentation.
Thank you, Ranisha, and good afternoon to all participants. Access to energy in humanitarian operations is essential for delivery of all essential services, including water supply, sanitation, health services, food production, and so on. For long, however, access to energy has not been a core component of the humanitarian response, given the high level of competencies and the resources required. Generators, on the contrary, have always been considered an immediate solution, leaving often no space to sustainable alternatives. Since few years, however, this is changing, thanks to first, a better awareness of the environmental impact of humanitarian operations, and second, the understanding that securing sustainable access to energy is a fundamental step in building resilience of the communities we work for. And several humanitarian agencies are trying to develop new competencies and new field experiences in this domain. There are new learning opportunities, as we just learned, and even this webinar series itself is an example of how many agencies, corporations, universities are connecting today to share experiences and work together around our common challenges. Now, looking at the ICRC operations, since 2013, the Water and Habitat Engineering team implemented around 700 projects with an energy component, and we moved from 40 projects a year in 2013 to 120 projects per year at the actual rate. Only in the last 2 years, we have completed 300 projects using solar power technology, and out of this 365% in Africa, as you can see from the map, and 53% related to water supply applications. It is important, however, to recognize that the institutional ambition of engaging into an energy transformation today matches only partially our real operational capacity in designing and implementing energy projects. We are 800 engineers, but only few among our staff in the team have a specialized background in electrical engineering. And even resorting only to external consultants would not be a solution for us, as specialized competencies often are not present in some of the remote conflict settings where we operate. So we need to build competencies internally and scale up rapidly access to learning opportunities in the field of electrical engineering and power management, contextualized to humanitarian settings. For this, we are proposing to create a network of regional training centers with classes and technical laboratories. The first of these hubs is currently being constructed in Nairobi, together with Strathmore University, and it will be followed in coming years by new energy hubs into a network in Middle East, in West Africa, in Southeast Asia, and in Central America. Our objective is to have all our engineers worldwide ready to design and supervise the energy component of future assistance projects, having all of them the energy literacy as part of their standard set of professional competencies. And further than an entry level, the energy hubs can also host in the future new modules on specialized topics as solar water pumping, as we heard, microgrids, and offering the possibility to the ones wishing to choose even this as a career path to advance in following levels of specialization. The module that we have created so far, and it will be the one to kickstart this energy hub and network, it's a foundation course on electrical engineering. And you can see in the slide the main topics that we have included. So we go from the very beginning on electrical safety and the basic foundation concept of measurements and physics linked to electricity, then to power generation, transformer, motors, wiring, and so coming to the end up to solar power and mini grids. In terms of pedagogical approach, we're looking at an hybrid model with online preparatory activities followed by a face-to-face course where all participants will practice on customized equipment and training benches. This equipment that should have the highest standard of quality for electrical safety, of course, must be customized by the manufacturer for the specific teaching activities, and as of today constitutes the main part of the capital investment into setting up the hubs. In terms of timing, this is a phased implementation. It's also a first-time initiative for us, and we are progressing over 3 years in steps. So in 2021, we are working right now on a proof of concept that includes the preparation of training content, the signature of the MOU with Strathmore University in this case, the purchase and installation of the laboratory, the training of trainers, and the organization of 2 events already for this year. Follow in 2022, where we will look at increasing the number of training sessions, at opening here the courses to engineering students from the university, but also to external participants. And on this point, if there are already today connected in this call humanitarian agencies interested in joining this initiative, it's not too early to get in touch with us, and already as of today look at options for collaboration, because the hub that we are setting up is not only for ICRC, and as much as possible we want the entire humanitarian community to benefit of this opportunity. It is also planned in the further extension to not only go into a network, but also extend the topics and include also the all electromechanics related to water supply and related equipment connected with the electricity foundation module. So this initiative will be possible thanks to the contribution of several stakeholders joining forces, and everybody bringing specific competencies, because we believe that it's a model with multi-party collaboration, and in this case extended to universities, corporate sector, other humanitarian partners, in our case the entire Red Cross and Red Crescent movement, as well as in the future our partner utilities, that only this model can reinforce the long-term sustainability of the initiative. Our first partner identified in this project is, as we heard, the Strathmore University, in particular the Energy Research Center, the CERC, based in Nairobi. And on this, I would like to leave the floor to Professor Da Silva, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, to tell us about their involvement in energy training in general and their role in this specific and very promising partnership with the ICRC. Thank you for your attention.
Professor Da Silva, your presentation is online.
Thank you very much. So you already introduced me, so I thank you very much for this opportunity to have this platform to talk a little bit about Strathmore Energy Research Center and how we are partnering with ICRC and Schneider Electric also here in Nairobi to set up the Nairobi hub for training people, as Albert mentioned, Albert and also Mark mentioned, that the idea of not only the humanitarian, not only the Red Cross, but the whole humanitarian sector to be able to have this training. In fact, one of the things that I consider as a barrier for uptake of these wonderful technologies like solar energy, like pressure cooking, people using solar energy for cooking in a very safe and very practical manner, is the issue of training. Yeah, people have to know that if they create awareness, if they know how to design, to install and maintain those kind of electric systems, they can change the lives of people, mainly in crisis. Like, for instance, you have internally displaced camps where people have difficulty having access to water, to electricity, to food, and that's where we are. We already had CERC for 8 years, and then along came this partnership, which as we have a lot of interest in it. So founded in 2012, we are very committed to training people and training of trainers so that you can cascade down the knowledge to areas which are farther from the centers like Nairobi, Mombasa. We would like you, even if you live in the middle of near Mount Kenya, you would be able to have a solar mini grid system and have someone who knows how to maintain and repair that system near you, because otherwise it will be like you buy a car and the nearest mechanic is 200 kilometers away, so you are in trouble. So also we have been working before with the ILO, NORAD, HIVOS, and we have our reach is about 10 countries. Yes, we have done some work with South Sudan, with Somalia, with Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, obviously, Burundi, and Uganda. So the idea is we start small, like tier 1, which is only DC, then we go to AC, DC, then tier 3 is where we bring people, engineers here, and we train them on grid connected systems and utility size, now some few megawatts. And then other interesting things that we have is like biogas. We help people how to manage biodigesters to produce natural gas and avoid using firewood and charcoal for cooking because it's so detrimental to the environment. So we tailor also courses. There is a beautiful thing happening in Kenya right now, because there are 47 counties and the government, central government, has said, look, we are devolving to the counties the ability to chart your own path in terms of energy. So each county has to prepare a 5 years county energy plan, and CERC is involved with the SNV and supporting the government Minister of Energy in helping them to prepare these plans, which we are using a tool which is GIS based called Energy Explorer, and that one we are going to consolidate all the 47 into a national plan. In the past, you would bring a consultant every 3 years to update the system. This time, because everything is based in GIS, you can update your system every 3 minutes, and you have to design you can have a databases that you can access data with a click. So it is a marvelous thing. We have been going through this journey of building capacity. And then, as you have heard, our idea would be we work with Nairobi, Kenya here, then it expands and then it connects with the other countries and becomes a kind of a international network to help people Yeah. And I perhaps to end, because I think my time is now. We have started this year the Bachelor of Science in Electric and Electronic Engineering in Strathmore. We have the pioneer class being now going through the first year. And those kids, we are going to train them to be SDG engineers. They will major in engineering by their minor in the Sustainable Development Goals, so that they can become actors in this path that UN has charted for us between now and 2030, where we will implement the 17 SDGs, mainly the number 2, number 6, and number 7. 2, end hunger. Number 6, water and sanitation. Number 7, electricity. Because if you have electricity, you have water. If you have water, you have irrigation, you have food. And then you improve the living standards of people in this country and in all over the world. I think, Hanisa, I never asked you to pass these slides, but perhaps you show the next one and I see where I am, because I got completely off track. So, yes, so
yeah, exactly.
actually, yeah, so our experience has been a case study in this camp, refugee camp in Rwanda. And it is wonderful to come to a place where you see brothers and sisters of yours in need, and then you train them and you see them able to help themselves and help other people in the community. This is something that for me looks like a legacy, and I am sure that with ICRC and with Schneider and with the other people in the planet, we will be able to do a lot of good things to a lot of good people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Da Silva and Marco. I'll switch back to my screen. And like both Marco and Professor Da Silva said, it's an initiative to call out for cooperation. So if you're interested, do feel free to reach out to both of them. And let's move forward with another poll for today. So I'm going to drop a poll question on your screen now. So Marco just presented a training hub that is based in Nairobi. So if you are based in East Africa, is this training hub interesting for you? So maybe yes and no. I'll leave it for another 10 more seconds to get the feedbacks. And another maybe 5 more seconds. And now I'll close it and display the results. So most of you said yes, that's great to hear. And now I'll put on another question. So if you are not based in East Africa, but what other region would be interested to have similar training hubs? So is that Middle East, Southeast Asia, West Africa, Central America? So just let us know your thoughts, and I'll put it up for another 10 more seconds. And now I'll close the polls and display the results. So most of our audience have mentioned that it would be interesting for West Africa, followed by Middle East, Central, so others, and Central America. Thank you once again. So now going back to my presentation, I would like to invite our third presenter for today, Amy Jenks. Amy works with the GPA Secretariat as a DEX officer and assistant coordinator of the Global Platform for Action on Humanitarian Energy. And today, Amy is going to talk about the humanitarian energy tools and collaboration opportunity. Amy, the floor is yours. So I'm going to quickly, please go ahead.
Thanks, Arnisha, and thanks to the other presenters and everyone dialing in. It's a pleasure to present just a few tools, opportunities for collaboration that are kind of at this nexus of humanitarianism and energy access. So maybe next slide, Arnisha. Thanks. So for just a quick background on the GPA, who aren't aware, it's really kind of the global initiative for promoting and increasing sustainable energy access in humanitarian settings. It was born around 3 years ago, kind of responding to this recognition that energy access is kind of a gap in the humanitarian system, and really with a desire from all sides, from humanitarian development partners, governments, private sector, to come together and kind of try to improve the quality of life for conflict-affected communities through energy access and improving how that works in practice. So a few things we do as the Secretariat is kind of advocating in high-level forums for the topic, supporting practical energy project design and partnership development, facilitating knowledge sharing like this webinar series, and develop innovative financing mechanisms that kind of overcome this challenge of short-term humanitarian funding to try to enable the financing that's really needed for energy access delivery. So next slide, Renisha. So just a quick overview of some tools and opportunities that are kind of existing now that are supported by ourselves in the GPA Secretariat and other partners. So kind of first on this level of training and energy program development, this kind of webinar is a space for sharing lessons learned and trying to kind of document all the different projects that have been done on energy and try to help the sector kind of learn from each other. So I guess we have kind of an offer and a call to action to really share with us what your needs are in terms of kind of what topics or dialogues you would like to see in future webinars, which we'll cover in the polling section next. The second thing is we are running an energy program design training. So it was a training developed by us at UNITAR and the World Food Program. And it's really focused on supporting humanitarian staff through e-learning and virtual workshops to evaluate their energy value chains in their local context and develop project interventions that address the barriers to those value chains. So really local, fit to context, and well-designed projects. And so at the end of that process, humanitarian practitioners are kind of connected with energy specialists to help design new programs. And so our next training is running in May and June. So if you're interested, feel free to contact me and I can provide more information. We're also kind of at the center of a lot of different companies who are wondering how they can support humanitarian actors. So we're aware of quite a lot of technical training, for instance, from companies such as Victron Energy, Schneider Electric, Grundfos, and many others. So if you are a company interested in providing training, we're trying to collect and map out all those opportunities and collate those in a central space to then provide the access to humanitarian partners. And if you're a humanitarian partner, I would encourage you to check out their websites and see if there's any active training running that would meet your needs. And then one of the biggest needs that we've seen through the GPA process is that kind of funding and financing is a big kind of barrier to wider energy access. So what we're doing there is we're kind of developing a donor roundtable to coordinate, share experiences, and identify kind of sustainable investment strategies on energy and displacement for donors and funders. We really believe that if we work together, we can really develop creative ways to leverage this short-term humanitarian funding for longer-term financing of energy access. So another kind of invitation to reach out if you're a donor or financer to learn more about that. Our team is also mapping out existing financing calls and calls for proposals. So that's what we're kind of updating our GPA website, and you can check that out for different opportunities. And then one of the main pieces of work for the GPA coordination unit over the last years has been to develop a sustainable financing mechanism to de-risk private sector delivery of energy infrastructure in humanitarian settings. So it's kind of this switch from procuring diesel gen sets to allowing humanitarians to kind of buy renewable energy electricity through leasing agreements from companies. So those links there on the slide are the kind of global guarantee mechanism for that switch, and I would encourage you to check out those documents. And then at last, we're again managing this quite a big dynamic network, and there's a few kind of opportunities for collaboration and partnership develop. So the first one I've listed there, we've developed a humanitarian energy kind of information dashboard, and it combines and visualizes information from energy markets, past projects, stakeholders, all by location. So you can see a screenshot of that on the right, and we are developing some tools to help kind of give a briefing on how to use that. So I would definitely encourage you to check that out and see. There's quite a lot of information there that might be useful. And then the last few points, we're running a kind of GPA implementers network. So we facilitate monthly calls for people who are, sorry, Renisha, almost done, kind of working in the field on project management, creating space for coordination and sharing of expertise. And then another opportunity is the UNHCR launched a Clean Energy Challenge last year to increase private sector and government support to the issue. And so we have quite a dynamic network that's there listed in the graphic, all those different partners kind of working together towards displaced household and community electrification. And then finally, we have our LinkedIn practitioners group and our GPA newsletters where we keep all of these opportunities up to date and sharing through the network. So I would encourage you to follow those two links. And that's about it. I know that's a lot of information, but as I said, there's an invitation to reach out if any of these these opportunities are interesting for you. And yeah, that's about it. Back to you, Renisha.
Thank you so much, Amy, and perfect timing. So now we move to the fun part of the webinar where we do active brainstorming with you guys. So I'm going to switch to my colleague's screen so that we can do some brainstorming together. So I'm going to ask you, Marco, to share your screen. So Marco, if you could accept my invitation, share your screen. And while Marco is sharing his screen, my colleague has just dropped in the chat box, she has dropped the link to the active poll. So I encourage everyone to either go and click on that link, or you can use your phone and scan the QR code and you come to this app that's called WooClap, and you should see an option that says raise your head. There is no vote in progress at the moment. That means we have just begun with the application. So I'm going to give it another 1 minute so we can get all our audience on board. And again, either you click on the link that's my colleague dropped in the question box, so you should get a link, or use your smartphone to scan this scanner, the bar chart that you see on your screen here, and then you can log into the WooClap. And we're going to leave it for another, let's say 30 seconds, so that we have our audience clicking in. And in case you are having any difficulties, just type in the chat box and my colleague will respond to it as soon as possible. Or what you can also do is just copy the link to a new browser and then just paste it there and then run it in a new browser. And since we haven't started the poll yet, so it's going to say that it hasn't started. And so let's give it another few more seconds so that more people can join in. And then we can begin with the polling session. So maybe another few more seconds. Again, use either your scanner, the scanning feature on your phone, or type the link. Both of them will lead you to the same WooClap app. So Marco, while people are logging in, maybe we can start with the first poll for today so that who are already logged in can start. So now the first question has popped up in your screen. What challenges do you face when you're trying to implement energy project in humanitarian settings? So maybe just use your phone and then type in your answer. For example, we already have a couple of answers coming in: financing, design, expertise and program design. And in case the answer you want to type in is already there, you can also click on the like button and then just support the answer that you see there. Perfect. I see we have more answers coming in. And for those who are trying to log in, please use the link that my colleague has dropped in the chat box, and then you can type in your answer. So we're gonna leave it for another few more seconds, and as the answers coming, so you can also vote on the answers that are on the dashboard right now. Maybe another few more seconds. Perfect. Marco, then maybe we could go to the second question now then. Perfect. So the second question is, as we mentioned in the beginning, we are trying to come up with the next round of webinar series. So tell us which of these different topics would be interesting for you. Is it more cooking, electricity, business models, or is it agriculture value chain, or different kind of value chain, ownership models, context-based? Here, context-based means either we go deep dive into one topic and then present only on one topic throughout the whole webinar series. So a lot of votes are coming in. You can also vote multiple times. So please select the top 2 or top 1, like the top of your choice. So we have more votes coming in. And we can see right now 3 is leading in the game. So maybe we give it another few more seconds. And so as I mentioned, you can choose more than one option. So feel free to choose the option that reflects your need the best. So Marco, maybe now we go to the third question. So the third question is, in the question 2, we already saw certain topics that we said might be interesting for you. If it was not covered in that, are there any other energy topics that you would want us to cover? So this is your chance to give us the additional topic that you think would be interesting for us. For example, we have one coming up. So we have a couple of coming up: solar energy and linked to climate, productive use of energy. Thank you so much. So if your topic is already here, don't forget to like the topic so that it gets the maximum amount of votes. So this could be any topics that you think that we missed in our analysis and you think is very important and we should cover in the next webinar series. So this is your chance to influence and shape the next round of webinars. So we have a lot coming in. And thank you for voting on the other topics too. So maybe we give it another few more seconds and then we can move to the next one. So another few more seconds. And Marco, can we now move to the question 4? So the question 4 is, do you want us in the next round of webinar series to deep dive? That means focus on one topic and go in detail A to Z of that topic, or like how we did in the first round, we had a general case studies on a range of topics. So you could tell us, no, you want us to focus on certain topics, or you want us to know, just take one topic and deep dive into it. And that topic could be anything that you have given, that you have suggested before. So again, please let us know, what do you think is the best option for the next round series of webinars? So maybe we give it another few more seconds for people to vote. And Marco, if we could now go to the question number 5. So in question number 5, please tell us, what kind of support do you require more? Is it more program related, like proposal writing, or it's more technical related with load assessment, or it's more about capacity building or partnerships or access to finance and funding options? So as the votes are coming in, the graphs are also shifting. So let's give it another few more minutes. And as I mentioned before, this is a multiple choice, so you can choose multiple answers. So please select the top 2 one which you think is of the most important to you. Marco, then maybe now we move to question number 6. So this is more regarding the collaboration. So would you like to be part of the space and support with resources, with different resources? That could be you are a donor and you could support with a financial support, or you are someone with technical knowledge and you could support the sector with technical knowledge, or you are into manufacturing and supply of equipments and you could support with manufacturing, and you could also do community support and others. So I give it a few more seconds, and I can see we are coming towards the end of the webinar. So apologies for a little bit of delay, but we will run the poll for a few more seconds. So maybe a few more seconds so that people can select the options. Again, you have the option to select multiple times, and you can select the top 2 ones. And when you have selected this, after this webinar, you'll actually have a chance to fill out a survey. And there you can actually also drop your email address so that we can contact you with regard to the next round of webinars, and also give us more feedback. So you also have that option. So I think now then that was our last polling question for today. So I'm going to now switch back to my screen. And I can see the polls are still changing. So while the polls are changing, I'm gonna quickly switch back to my screen. So thank you so much to everyone who took part in the poll. We will take into account all the different options and your feedback that you gave us today. So I know we are already 2 minutes past our time, so apologies for the delay, but a huge thank you to all our speakers for the excellent presentation, to our audience for actively taking part in our polls. And as I mentioned before, we will share the link to the recording as well as the resources after this webinar. So stay tuned. And now with that, I would like to thank all of you one more time. And we will come back with a new season of the Humanitarian Energy webinars. So stay tuned for that. And do drop your email in the survey so that we can send you an invite when the new webinar series is ready to be launched. Thank you once again, and I wish all of you a good day, and thank you and bye-bye.